Alright, here is part 2 of the Justice League Europe story, issue 12, Myxomatosis and his quest to see his son. He had a baby that he never knew about, and that was being kept from him, and that is the bulk of the backstory covered right there. Last issue he battled Green Lanterns, the Gary Gardner version, who had been part of Myxomatosis's evil father-in-law's private security force. And now we have Myxomatosis face the worser half of that security, the Mattel Men. I cannot stand the Mattel Men. To me, they are the most criminally boring characters under the sun. I do like the amount of detail on Gary Gardner, actual blood and stuff. There is some idea behind Myxomatosis versus the Mattel Men. The Mattel Men each represent an element on the periodic table, and Myxomatosis is the element man. He can transform himself into elements. It doesn't make me like the action scene anymore, or like the Mattel Men, but I did want to acknowledge that, as a comic book fight, it was more than two random ingredients thrown together. It's more along the lines of chemistry. Little joke there for you. Chemistry joke. The Mattel Men, I don't give a fuck about. I cannot tell you when they first appeared, and even if I could, I wouldn't be able to find the comic available in digital format. At least, DC made the first series of Who Is Who a digital release, so I can show you their profile, and you can pause and fill yourself in on all the information I am not telling you about the Mattel Men. The fight isn't too bad. I just don't care because it is the Mattel Men. While this is going on, Myxomatosis's woman, the mother of his child, that's a better thing to call her, she is trying to wake up Animals Man, who, alongside Crimson Dynamo, came with Myxomatosis. Now I am going to both praise and not praise some continuity. She tells Animals Man that he has to do summit because he is a hero. And this is coming after the shocking bombshell ending in an issue of Animals Man where he came home and found his family had been killed. Animals Man responds, I am a lot of things, but I ain't no hero. I could not even save my own family. How am I going to help him? I like that plotter Kevin Giffen and writer William Telner Overture are tackling this enormous development, but the problem becomes it is too enormous to rationalise Animals Man's presence in this book. The other thing is Van Morrison covered this. We see at the funeral, the first scene after the cliffhanger reveal, we see Animals Man resign from the League, and that obviously makes complete sense. I imagine this was trying to adhere to that development, but it didn't know that the next issue of Animals Man will begin with an out for Animals Man. So we awkwardly have to say that this story takes place in between the end of issue 19 and the start of issue 20. And it does a disservice to the character arc that Van Morrison is embarking on to jam in this weird story where Animals Man was maybe in denial, or he hadn't come to terms with things. It's a bit of a catch-22. You need more animals, man, to justify his inclusion here. You need to show how this works in conjunction with his character in his solo series. But at the same time, the people involved with this story didn't have that luxury, and they were hog-tied to not focus on animals, man, or hand him important characterization that would affect his solo series. After this, we have our more boring stuff with the Avengers. Yellow Jacket and Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch decides to return to their world, and Yellow Jacket stays behind. And he will go on to join Justice League Europe. And so will Scarlet Witch too. I never really considered this before either, but the stuff with the Avengers in the Justice League International books, it is fittingly similar in some ideas to Marvel's Justice League maxi-series. They try to dismantle Earth's nuclear weaponry in a bid to create a better planet. It's similar to ideas in the Marvel series. It's a shame that I don't like the Mattel men, because the fight is given its fair share of pages. It's not a bad appearance for the Mattel men either. They might be fighting on the wrong side here, but they also are given a good showing against a character who should be able to make short work of them. Then, our two other Justice Leaguers, Animals Man and Crimson Dynamo, they are attacked by Caveman Smithers. He is the father-in-law's personal manservant. The father-in-law is Mr. Burns, hence this guy being Smithers. And we have a fairly common Justice League International big fight that you know someone is going to interrupt and tell them off. Won't somebody think of the baby? The baby is crying, and it transforms Mr. Smithers's hands to sludge, because the baby has a similar power set to its dad, except it extends outwards instead of inwards. The baby is cute. Babies are cute. And it is easy to relate to or champion myxomatosis in this story because he just wants to see his son. And he found out that his father-in-law was exploiting and as much as abusing the baby. And then I got to thinking, whatever became of this baby? Which was a bad idea because it is DC Comics, so it probably died. I did some research and it turns out they just stopped mentioning it. It ceased to exist. Its last appearance was in 2003. Myxomatosis and all these characters associated with him just never mentioned the baby again after 2003. I actually really like this story, this two-parter. The Mattel men don't drag it down too much. And it's what I want from the Justice League International titles and often don't get from them. There is emotional payoff and sincere storytelling. We have got this great bit here with Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns finds out that he can hold the baby because, like with the baby's mother, there's apparently a genetic immunity. The baby can it or won't affect people that it shares genes with. And we have this bit where the baby melts the heart of the evil monster. And now that Mr. Burns is actually able to hold the baby and see it as a person, see it as his grandson, maybe Mr. Burns will change. He doesn't. He'll be a villain again, but for a time here, it lets that possibility rest. We have some tying up loose ends, and here we are showing Mr. Burns does maybe intend to treat the baby well after this. And our final page, the only reason I didn't end the review at the splash image of Mr. Burns and the baby is that on our final page we close a loop, kind of. We have Animals Man announcing that he cannot stay with the Justice League, and that he needs to sort his shit out and deal with his loss. A bit redundant with that scene we see in his series, but it doesn't make it unworkable. He is telling his friend, Crimson Dynamo here, his plan to leave, and then in Animals Man, we see him officially resigning. And then to really stick the knife in, Crimson Dynamo's still alive family come running in. Big fan of this two-parter. Recommendation, it's a Justice League International story arc that isn't wacky hijinks and tired comedy routines. There's actual weight and character behind this story, and I give it 7 thumbs up.